Hello, I'm John Cirucci, an AIChE Foundation trustee and a member of the Global Societal Initiatives Committee, which I co-chair with Kelly Barb, who we're here to talk with today. Kelly's life experience in international humanitarian development is very impressive, and this month she's receiving the Recognizing Excellence in Volunteerism Award from her employer, PSE&G. So Kelly, tell us what the Recognizing Excellence in Volunteerism Award is about and how you came to be recognized this year.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. The Recognizing Excellence in Volunteerism Award, also known as REV, is a program offered by PSE&G to recognize employees that are involved in the community and that have a commitment to service. So every year, 17 employees are awarded grants ranging from $1,000 to $10,000, and they have the opportunity to invite a guest from their organization up to the Newark headquarters to accept the award. What's interesting is you don't know what level of grant you're going to receive until the day of, so they call it the PSE&G Emmys or the PSE&G Grammys, because it's like you don't know what you're going to win. And then the organizations are highlighted, and they have the opportunity to tell about their volunteer, and it's a really, really great day.
Well, I know a little bit about your history, but why don't you tell us all how you got started in international humanitarian development?
Sure. So while I was studying chemical engineering at Rowan University, a professor told me about an organization on campus called Engineers Without Borders. And so during freshman year, I attended a meeting and I saw the work that they were doing at the time in El Salvador and Senegal. And I was absolutely hooked. I knew that I had to be a part of something that was so impactful and so exciting. And so I dove in. I tried to get involved as much as I could. So they allowed me to be the education lead my first year in Rowan. So to take a leadership role in the first year on a project was really an honor for me. And I developed a education plan in Spanish that educated the community of La Ceiba in El Salvador about health and sanitation and biosand filter use and maintenance, which the project was a biosand filter implementation. And so that fall, I attended a conference in Boston for Engineers Without Borders, and I saw a panel of returned Peace Corps volunteers who were also engineers. And I saw them speaking about their experiences abroad with the Peace Corps. And I called my parents and I said, "Mom, Dad, I'm going to go into the Peace Corps." And they were like, "You're absolutely not going to do that. You know, it's so dangerous. You know, don't you want to get a full-time job and make money out of college?" And you know, they had a lot of, you know, well-founded concern for my well-being, you know. But I saw how passionate those returned Peace Corps volunteers were and how it changed their life. And I had already really enjoyed the work that I was doing with Engineers Without Borders, so that was the next logical step for me after college.
Wow. Yeah. So then what happened? You joined the Peace Corps, you went to Africa.
Well, so on my birthday, I was on a trip with my sister and I received my invitation to serve. And it said, you know, we would like to invite you to serve in Guinea. And so I immediately clicked accept. I was willing to go wherever they needed me to go. But after that, I had to Google where Guinea was. So Guinea is located in West Africa. It's bordered by Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ivory Coast. And I left shortly after graduation to be a secondary educator in math in Guinea. And I had never spoken a word of French before in my life, but that was their national language. So I went over there with my French-English dictionary and everything that I thought I would need for 2 years, and started that journey.
Wow. So how did your education in chemical engineering prepare you for something like that?
So my education in chemical engineering definitely prepared me to an extent. I feel like I learned the problem solving skills that I would need abroad. The perseverance and the optimism to know that there's a solution to every problem. The dedication to seeing something to the end. But I don't think anything could prepare me for that first night where I was dropped off to a host family and I was flipping through my dictionary trying to find the words for water and blanket and everything. So I definitely feel like my education equipped me with the skills that I needed to be successful, but I learned a lot while I was on the ground.
So what are some of those things that you've picked up from living with people from other cultures and different places, and how did it enrich you and kind of change your worldview?
I feel like I realized that humanity as a whole, we're all very similar. So when I worked in El Salvador, there was a night where all of the girls in the village hung out and we painted each other's fingernails and toenails. And to think that that was something that I would do here in the U.S., but to make that cross-cultural connection with other girls my age in a remote village in El Salvador, it showed me that we're all very much one. When I was in Guinea, after we would eat every night, we would line up our chairs and sit together as a family. I lived with a host family. And we would just look up at the stars and talk. And that was just something that was so different to me than my experience here in the U.S. And it kind of brought a sense of inner peace and an appreciation for a simpler, more present lifestyle. But even just as a teacher, seeing children interact with each other and seeing them learn and grow over time, I just realized that we have a lot of differences, but we also have a lot of similarities just as human beings.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to look at my list here because I know you volunteered with AIChE, but also many other organizations and efforts: Habitat for Humanity, Family Service Domestic Violence Response, mentoring at Rowan University, Science Fair, New Jersey Aid for Animals. You're putting in water wells in Panama next year.
Hopefully, yeah.
And rebuilding a 167-year-old house and completing your MBA. And you do a full-time job as a staff engineer at PSE&G.
Yeah.
So, how is that possible, and how do you find the time and energy for all of this?
All of those things that you listed, the organizations, they're just things that I love. I've been a lifelong volunteer. I feel like service is my calling in life. So I find that when I'm working with nonprofits and the community, it's something that's so invigorating to me. So I lose all track of the time or the date or my to-do list. I'm just present in the moment, and it's incredibly fulfilling to me. So they say when you do something that you love, it's not really work at all. You never work a day in your life, and that's how I feel about nonprofits. And I feel like when I'm working with other like-minded, service-oriented individuals, they just really inspire me.
Now, you've had numerous speaking engagements, some with AIChE, some with other groups here. Here's your chance. So what would be your message for chemical engineering students and young professionals about opportunities for engineers in the world?
This year alone, I've had, I believe, 9 speaking engagements around the country, and I find that my message has evolved over time, and I get a lot of questions from students asking about personal and professional development and their career path and money and internships and all types of things. And what I really try to impart with them is that they have to create their own path in life, and they don't have to follow any societal expectations with that. So I find that there's no better way to develop than with, personally and professionally, than with volunteer work. So for students that want to develop and gain skills way ahead of peers, I tell them to look into volunteer work. For example, this year I wanted to start to learn how to manage people. So I approached Kathy McGuire at the New Jersey Aid for Animals, and I asked if I could build an internship program for her, where I would create the job descriptions, I would do the interviewing and the hiring, and then I would manage the interns with a curriculum over a semester-long period. And for her, it was a win-win situation because she was getting volunteers and I was getting the management experience that I wanted. So I try to share stories like that with students so that they can see how they can combine their knowledge, their skills, and their passion into something that's meaningful and a career that ultimately brings them fulfillment. And they may be able to achieve that by first doing some volunteer work or concurrently doing volunteer work.
Wow, that's a great message. Well, you know, AIChE is the global home of chemical engineers, and you have certainly fulfilled the AIChE Foundation's theme of doing a world of good. Your experience and your contributions truly embody that. So I want to thank you for all you've done and all you have to do.
Thank you.